Have you ever felt disconnected from the world around you? Like people, you hear the news, the world situation, many things just feels everything so off. And how does that make you feel? Disconnected, definitely, but alone, kind of. It's a lonely feeling like, what's happening with this crazy world? It feels like you don't belong here. And that is partially true, but just superficially, because I have very good news for you. Because think about a time where you felt connected to the world, when you felt connected to people, when you felt connected to everything around you, even objects. Wasn't that a better feeling? And you say, okay, what's going wrong? Well, I'm going to show you how to go about that to change it. But the first important thing to understand is that, as we are discussing in previous videos, without noticing it, we are filtering the world. Our mind is filtering the world based on our ideas and experiences, our past mostly. And in this way, we humans have the possibility of going very much deluded. And by deluded is that we have an incredible capacity to leave our own imagination. At some point, if you would say it long enough to yourself, you would just believe it's the truth. And that's how, in the wrong extreme of all this, is where the fanatics are. You know, people who can do, they have this idea of the truth that is very narrow, and everything who's not right with them is wrong, you know? So that happens because we all have this software that is running in the back of our mind. So we don't notice. And that's the most important aspect of this, that don't think that you really get it. And you say, I don't feel any software. I don't feel anything that you're saying. I'm not just going judging the whole thing in my life and I'm voluntarily disconnecting from the world. No, the way it happens is that you feel any negative emotion of some sort. It could be fear, anxiety, depression, loneliness, any kind of negative. You could be angry. Any kind of negative emotion, that is literally how it feels to feel disconnected, isn't it? Something that's a strong rejection. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't act accordingly to the situation. But what I'm saying is you don't need to feel bad about it. So let me explain this. What you're actually feeling is that you are experiencing your own thoughts about everything around you. And that's the disconnection. That's the ground of disconnection. And there's the possibility for you to wake up to a deeper connection. But in order to do that, in order to feel connected again with this crazy world, you first need to get in touch with your source. The source of your life. What some people will call God, or the unified field, as they call it in quantum physics. So in order to do that, I'm going to show you a very simple exercise, direct pointing, as they say. And there's ups and downs for this. The ups is that it's very straightforward, it's very simple. You're going to absolutely understand it. But it's going to feel very subtle. And many times it just feels difficult because of that, because you have to, sometimes you get it a little bit, but then you kind of lose it. The people who work with direct pointing and non-dual schools, basically they are just going all the time. That's the strategy. You just repeat it million times throughout the day. So the exercise that I want to show you today is very simple, and yet I'm trying to explain it can be very powerful because it can absolutely make you feel connected to everything and everyone around you, which is the definition of a happy moment. Because think of a happy moment you had in the past. How did everything feel? Didn't you feel connected to everything? That you were in the right place with the right people? Everything was just fitting, everything as it happens. That connection, you can still have that connection with life. But at some point, there is some kind of data in the software of the back of our mind, the unconscious mind. So you're running and suddenly everything starts going off and everything feels wrong and we feel disconnected. So The way you undo that is by going to observe very, very, very closely the fact of your experience right now, which is basically meditation. So, for example, pick any object around you. You're maybe in a room like I am, and I don't know, just let your attention randomly just rest in any random object. And notice that for you to notice that object, you have to be aware of it. So before you get all this information, I'm seeing this object, I'm living this object, there is a part of you that is primordial. It is before it, it's underneath it, your experience of whatever object you are seeing right now. I mean, it could be the sound, just the sound go away. So it's a bit more difficult. So just pick any clear object around you and just notice how there's a foundation of you being aware of it. But the it of the object appears after you are aware. There's a primordial sense of I am alive, I am here, and I'm experiencing this before you get to experience this. I don't know if you get what I mean. There is a very quick, very subtle way of experiencing everything around you. And it's very important to do this because otherwise your mind gets in the business and things get very complicated and scatter and you feel disconnected. And you start thinking about it, and that's not going to work because you need to go below that threshold of your mind thinking. You need to be able to remove all the filtering. So again, pick a random object, but you could do this with people. You can do this with any situation. But I suggest you strongly to start with something that it feels neutral and kind of easy. Because if you try to do it with someone who you don't like or you have strong emotions, positive or negative, you will still feel that it's impossible to make this exercise. So pick just some random neutral object in your life and notice that before you understanding the characteristics and the qualities of that object, you are previously aware of it. And then this information comes as if it was a mirror. The first is the light and the thing, and then the reflection of it. In that milliseconds, your brain is building up the meaning of the object. So, in some videos before, we have been talking about this process of how to get into this part of the process with the mind. But in this video, we're going deeper than that. Because I want you to notice the fact that you are first alive, and then from this aliveness right here and now, from your presence, then you build the attributes of you and the world. It just happens very quickly and it's difficult to pinpoint because your mind is constantly going in the other direction. So that's why you need to bypass your mind and just rest in this moment. And how it is to see the object that you're now noticing without thinking about it at all. Suddenly, you go back into a very raw, direct way of feeling, oh, an object. But if you would go deeper and deeper and quicker into that process, you will see that there's some sort of attention. There's some sort of sense of presence. There's some sort of aliveness that is prior to you noticing the object. Or you could say, if you're seeing the object physically in front of you all the time, continuously, you could say it's underneath seeing the object. As if it was an iceberg that is hidden under the water and you see the tip of it. The object that we're seeing is like on the top, above the water. But underneath that, there is something that is our ideas about that object. And underneath that, there is just water. So that just water is just attention. All the time in your life, there's constantly first attention, first awareness, first presence. The first thing is you know you are alive. And then things happen. Your mind starts kicking in and you understand the scenario where you are. You're in a good day, you're in a bad day, and you build the whole world like that. So if you want to connect and feel connected to everything, you need to undo your perception process to the point that you tap into this source. Is it clear? I hope so. It's very subtle. I hope this is not the first time you're exposed to this kind of work. But in this case, I don't know if you noticed, there's this slightly different approach to it compared to other pointers. And in this one, you're noticing that you are noticing it rather than you're noticing the thing. So whatever object you pick, you notice that you first are aware of it. And that is the source of your experience. And if you redirect your attention, your awareness to that side of your experience, which is neutral because it's always there. You're always, wherever you are, whatever you do, you're always there, right? You're always alive. You're always present. Right now, aren't you alive? How do you know? You feel yourself. Oh yeah, I'm here. How do you know? Well, I notice this sensation, I notice that sensation. Okay, yeah. The noticing is what is important here. You always notice and then you know you are alive. You notice this, you notice that, you notice this, you notice that. So what you want to reconnect, to feel oneness with your world and feel that everything is right, which is the feeling people would describe it as happiness, as love, as peace, is the experience of unifying your perception from its source. So instead of paying attention to, okay, now it's a good day, now it's a bad day, now these things happen, now this thing in your experience, instead of focusing so much on that, that's why your mind is pulling your attention towards. Just bring it back down to the essential first step where you're actually just alive here and now, regardless of what is moving and changing in your perception. And by contacting that aliveness, that presence prior to any experience you can have, you will start noticing peace. You start feeling that because you just landed from being up there in the activity of your mind and getting lost in this and that were your own personal reactions to everything based on your memories. And I understand you may have traumatic memories and there may be something in your life right now that is triggering all that and you're experiencing. I know you're experiencing it. But how's the way out of it? The question is how you could feel. Can you feel peace right now? And for many people, no, I can't. Actually, I'm very upset for the situation, or there is always this sense that my life is never completely right. Well, because this software is running in the background, so you have to go underneath that software to touch into the source of what you are. So instead of being a human doing, you become a human being again. So right now, I could say this, I could say that. You may think this, you may think that. You may be in this place, maybe in the other place. You may be in the morning for you, maybe in the afternoon for you. That all, as in the surface, is above the water kind of level. Then underneath that, there's all your mental filtering. That your mind is wired in the other direction. Your mind will tend to leave you out of the story, into the world. But meditation, it is just letting go of that pull of the mind to distract and to react to the world, and just leaning it back to the experience of here and now and to the essence of what's happening. And by doing that, you go underneath your own conditioning and your own filtering of the world, and you realize that waking up, really truly waking up, means to be waking up to your own presence, which is the same source of experience of all the world. So there's this source of presence, and then there's the sense of you, there's the sense of the world. But you and the world, that duality appears because you're not seeing the unified feel. You're not feeling the presence of God. So the way to undo that is by actually start valuing, paying attention, noticing the fact that you are alive wherever you are, whatever you do. And at some point you start noticing that you react less to the situation, to the objects, and to the things that are changing in your experience. You notice there's a common background that's always there, and you're always feeling it. And at that point, you start discovering, yeah, that's the feeling you were missing. We were trying to get through the world, through the experiences, trying to go back to that feeling of oneness, of completion, of fulfillment. And here's the thing, no matter how you feel now, I'm telling you, the fact is that that fulfillment is already there in your life, in the background of it. So your only task is to get out of this ramification of activity your mind is pulling your attention through and revert it back to its source. And that source is the source of everything, not just you perceiving the object. At some point, if you go back to the source, you're going to see it's kind of like the light in which you see. And at some point, if you go experiencing the light, and focusing on that light before you see the object, there's this light that allows you to see. Same way, every experience in your life is made out of this neutral background that is your awareness. And when the deeper you dive in it, the more the wisdom start naturally remembering, oh yeah. So it's not that you learn anything new. It's that you realize, oh yeah, I just made up all that. I was dreaming. And you wake up to the realization that you have been always fine. It was just a movie. And the same way people go into the movies and enjoy thrillers or scary movies or dramas, the same thing happens with your life. You start enjoying it, even when you may say, yeah, but not now because my life is a mess right now. So until when I fix all my life, then I will be, at that point, I will be happy. I will start meditating really and getting it. It's the other way around. There's a reason why you're perceiving your life as chaos. And that's exactly the way out. To really see it for what it is. That is just waves on the top of the ocean. You want to go deeper. And that deeper is right now your sense of presence. You have to notice that is prior to everything. So some of you may find this, oh, that's an interesting thing. I cannot grasp what you're saying. But, and actually I've been there before, but you may say, but it's very difficult for me to sustain that state through my day. And this is the part of the video where I go back to the essence. You have to meditate. Meditation is basically undoing your mind. So you have all these tricks like focusing on your breath, or like doing metta meditation like loving kindness, or you can pray or mantras, or you can do anything, literally. It just doesn't matter. Do something. Do something. Find something that you like and just go for it and practice. Because the more you clean up your mind out of this filtering, you start to see that you shine clean as have you ever been. And it's suddenly a pointer like this, it sustains over time. So if you don't meditate as much as you could see videos like this or teachers explaining direct truth in many ways, it still won't stick into your life. And you know it, but it never sticks. You know why it never sticks? Because your mind is cheating on you. So meditation is the solution for that. So sit to meditate every day. And peace will grow in your experience, and connectedness. And a feeling of well-being is yours. It is there.